A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I got to see this for my birthday. My parents took me to go and see a movie. I got to pick it, and I chose A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. This is all about Matthew Rhys's character, whose name in the movie is Lloyd, but is actually based on a journalist named Tom, who did a magazine article on Fred Rogers, and it's pretty much the friendship between Fred Rogers and Lloyd or Tom. That actually happened in real life. Now, this also focuses on the relationship between Lloyd and his father, whose name in the movie is Jerry. And that section I didn't really feel like needed to be in the movie, but I will get in there more. A lot of people thought this was going to be about Fred Rogers. And my parents said it's about Fred Rogers. But in my head, yes, it is about Fred Rogers, but it's not focused on him. And when it's not focused on Fred Rogers, the film kind of lingers. It just sticks at a halt, and there's no emotion there. Yes, they're trying, but you're so invested in the Mr. Rogers storyline that you just don't care about anything else. He's making Lloyd a better person, and you can see that happening, but then it just falls as soon as his father comes into the picture. Fully again, not at the wedding, not at his sister's wedding, but after the wedding, where they realize that he has an ailment, or a sickness, if you will. Now, this movie, it is a good movie. It's a good movie. But once you actually sit down and you think about it, and you think about the problems it has, yes, this movie has problems. This is why I don't think it's going to get a lot of awards buzz besides Tom Hanks, because yes, Matthew Rhys is fine in the film. He's perfectly fine. But Tom Hanks, when you don't get an actor that's as good as Tom Hanks, and yes, they're out there, it's like the new Aladdin. When you get Naomi Scott, who's an amazing singer, and then you get Mina Massoud, who is a fine singer on his own in A Whole New World, and then as soon as Jasmine comes in, you're like, yep, you've been overpowered. She's a better actress than you. She's a better singer than you are by all counts. That's what happens here. When Matthew Rhys and Tom Hanks are on screen, Tom Hanks outshines him. And he's supposed to do that because he's Fred Rogers, but it just feels like Matthew Rhys is not trying that hard in this film when he's on screen with Fred Rogers, which is a good amount of time. It's an hour and 48 minutes, and when you're not focusing on Fred Rogers, it just kind of stays there. It's nicely shot, it's nicely written, but it's due to Matthew Rhys. He's not really trying. He's just sitting there, and if he is trying, he's not trying very freaking hard. This movie is a good movie. I will watch it again, but when reviewing it, you got to look at the aspects of the filmmaking and of the actual film. The screenplay is nice. Yes, it's not going to get an award like everybody thought it would. Everybody knew that Tom Hanks would and is going to get Best Supporting Actor nominations and not win it. Matthew Rhys is the main problem, and it's just him and his character. He's just so unlikable, and I don't think that they really redeemed him enough. Yes, Mr. Rogers made him an amazing person, but the main thing with it is that his character just did not work. If you could have focused more on the actual story and not gone on to a side plot, a subplot of his relationship with his father, which, yes, it probably did happen in real life. I don't know the actual story that happened in that real life, or in the actual events of this film, but if you could have not focused on that a lot, then I think you could have made or had a completely better film, and maybe it could have gotten a little bit more awards buzz besides just Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is the reason to see this movie. And yes, there is a good message there, but not a lot of people in my audience could find that message. One, I was the youngest one in there besides my parents, but by at least 30 to 45 years. This film is a nice little film, but it's not going to be a film that I'm going to watch 100 times. The big thing is that the cinematography is nice. They did a nice job with the sets, especially with the Mr. Rogers set, because it actually looks like they are using the actual props. Tom Hanks got to use an actual Fred Rogers zip-up sweater. That red one, that you see, that was actually one of Fred Rogers's, and I could be mistaken, but I think that was the actual Daniel Tiger that they were using in the actual movie. Tom Hanks is the reason to go and see it. It's a good film, but it's just not one that I can recommend to you if you're looking for an amazing, amazing movie. It's not The Irishman, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or Joker, where I am going to give it an A+. I'm still going to give this film a very positive review, but I just had to go into my one qualm that really bogged this score down for me, this grade down for me. I'm going to give A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood a B. Stay tuned for my next review, which will be for Jumanji: The Next Level.